Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Robin, and on today's episode of Fun Fact Friday, we're going to talk about celebrity products. Plenty of you have probably heard of Fenty Beauty, the George Foreman Grill, Kylie Cosmetics, and other products and companies that rely on the celebrity promotion attached to them to be successful. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. Let's get into those times where it most definitely doesn't. One of these celebrity products is the Kardashian card. This is simply a prepaid MasterCard with the Kardashians' face on it. Well, they sure do like to put their face on just about everything. It makes it cooler, I guess. When you have a prepaid card like this, it works well as a gift card, sure, but the cost to actually maintain the account is far more expensive than an actual credit card. It won't help you repair, build, or maintain your credit, and these cards tend to have fewer fraud and billing protections than credit cards as well. There are pros to having them, sure, but these cards are largely seen as temporary. So why the Kardashians would want their face on one, I'm not really sure. According to my source, KardashianCard.com, this prepaid debit card was launched over a decade ago in November of 2010. They write, after launching their website, KardashianCard.com, announcing their fees and launching their product, it was quickly taken off of the market due to a firestorm of criticism, including coming from the Connecticut Attorney General, George Jepsen. The criticism of the card focused primarily on the extremely high fees and the fact that the card clearly targeted young teenagers and the less educated. Wow, the Kardashians targeting the less educated? Go figure. After numerous news outlets and bloggers voiced their concerns about the high Kardashian card prepaid debit card fees, the Kardashian sisters realized that the card was unfair and they distanced themselves from the failed product. You know, the one that had their freaking name on it. After this turn of events, we decided to purchase this site and maintain it in an effort to educate and remind the general public to be careful and thoroughly research the products they choose to use, regardless of who endorses it. Although some may argue that Kylie Cosmetics is overpriced, and some may claim they're worth the cost, in that case, Kylie Jenner is offering a product. But when the Kardashians announced this prepaid debit card, the only difference between their card and any other one you can buy at the supermarket is the fact that theirs had their picture on the front. Perhaps if it had an extra $1 or two, fans may not have minded. However, according to Forbes, the cost of the card was almost $100 for the first year, which includes a one-time card purchase of about $10, monthly fees at $8 a month, and a preloaded deposit of $5. Forbes added, the fees do not stop after the card is purchased. ATM withdrawals cost $1.50 in addition to the ATM fees. Automatic bill pay using the card costs $2 per item. There is a 2.5% fee for instant transfers that are made from a credit card or debit card. If you want to add money to the card, tack on an additional $1. It'll cost you $6 to close the account. Have a question on the card? That'll be $1.50 to speak with a live operator. How the hell that was even remotely legal, I'll never know. CBS also covered the outrage around this Kardashian card, saying that it was the worst offender of prepaid cards for the fees and for its marketing towards teenage girls. For comparison's sake, they added that the Walmart Money Card, the most popular one at the time, has a $3 monthly fee. It's also $3 to reload, $2 for an ATM cash transaction, and $1 for a balance inquiry. The backlash around this was so massive that the Kardashians did effectively drop the product, which, according to Revenue Resource Group, the owner of the mobile resource card, broke their contract. After all this went down, the Revenue Resource Group decided to hit the Kardashians with a $75 million lawsuit, blaming them for the collapse of their company. Maybe it'd be better if they didn't put their names all over everything, huh? The Kardashians had allegedly agreed to say good things about the card in the press and on social networking websites in exchange for a flat fee and a percentage of revenue from customers who signed up. No wonder the fees were so high, as the cost would be lining their pockets as well as the company's itself. So, once the Kardashians distanced themselves, it broke their contract. However, according to The Hollywood Reporter, the Kardashians, repped by Michael Kump and Jeremiah Reynolds at Santa Monica's Kinsella Weitzman Iser Kump and Altisert firm, quickly brought an anti-slap motion, a tactic used in California to escape lawsuits that arise out of people speaking their minds on issues of public import. That raised an interesting issue, because the Kardashians were essentially accused of breaching a contract by failing to say positive things about a credit card. Does that mean the lawsuit is a standard breach of contract case, not subject to anti-slap motions, or is it based on the ladies' exercise of their First Amendment free speech rights, which would allow the judge to dismiss the case? Basically, RRG couldn't force the Kardashians to say nice things about their overpriced product. Judge Jeffrey Hamilton argued that the onslaught of negative coverage before and after the Kardashian termination letter that killed their company, not the Kardashians themselves. Although this may have been an endorsement more than a product a celebrity created, it's definitely one of the most notable on the celebrity business fails list out there, especially considering how well known the Kardashians are. Not everything they touch turns to gold after all, right? Sometimes it turns to plastic. Now, next up on our list is Steven Spielberg. Although Spielberg may be one of Hollywood's most known directors and one of the wealthiest filmmakers in the world, he's not really known for being a restaurant owner. Yet, back in 1993, he and producing partner Jeffrey Katzenberg decided to enter the themed restaurant category and open up their own submarine-themed restaurant called Dive. According to one source, Dive grew out of Spielberg's love of undersea exploration, a fascination that began when he read 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea as a child, continued with 1975's Jaws, and led to a short-lived aquatic series, SeaQuest DSV, which aired on NBC from 1993 to 1996. Oh cool, it ended when I was born. While he didn't speak publicly about his involvement with Dive, his name was enough to get the eatery, which cost $7 million to construct and outfit, a significant amount of press coverage. He and his partners speculated that over 60 Dive locations would be open in the coming years around the world. Noted chef Michael Northern was in charge of the menu, and the design leaned heavily into the restaurant as theatrical experience. When patrons formed a line to enter the first Dive location in Century City, California in May of 1994, a submarine conning tower and nose jutted out of the building. Inside was a complete stainless steel aesthetic, with portholes, torpedo-shaped bar seats, and a periscope that could survey the affluent Los Angeles commercial district. I won't lie, I absolutely would have gone there during its early days, for the novelty factor. I mean, heck, I live in Colorado, and even though Casa Bonita has some of the worst food in human history, it is one of my favorite places to take folks visiting for the first time. The submarine even appeared to sink every 45 minutes when the portholes looked like they were filling with water. The lights would flash and the groaning sounds of a submarine would be piped through the speakers. It's a great place for a submarine sandwich, the franchise's signature dish. The restaurant operator said, "What California Pizza Kitchen did for the pizza, we want to do for the submarine sandwich." To that I ask, what did California Pizza Kitchen do for the pizza that every other pizza joint in the world didn't already do for pizza? The place had amazing goals and an entertaining building, but they went under after a few years. After all, the novelty factor didn't really have people coming back for more. People didn't flock to their Century City location the way they did to appreciate themed restaurants in Vegas. Their Las Vegas location did survive for much longer, as their retail space did incredibly well, but in Century City, customers said they felt like they were eating in a pinball machine with the regular stimulations. By 1999, it was no longer viable, and it shut its doors for good. Or submarine hatch, you could say. After the California location floundered, investors had apprehensions about expanding, and so the Vegas location, which had opened in '95, closed in the early 2000s. This wasn't a horrible business by any means, even if the food was average or, as one reviewer said, overcooked. But the sensory overload and food was their undoing. There's been many other celebrity restaurants as well, everything from Hulk Hogan's Pasta Mania to Flavor Flav, the rapper's many fried chicken joints. Justin Timberlake also owned the restaurant Destino, though he cut ties with it after only a year. They also sank much like Dive did, though their floods weren't made of water, but human waste. Page 6 said the issue stemmed from illegal pipes above the restaurant which burst not once, but twice, covering the restaurant with excrement both times. Food and feces don't go particularly well together, which might explain why the restaurant shut its doors permanently after 7 years in business. So, I guess all things considered, Spielberg definitely isn't alone in his failed celebrity restaurant endeavor, nor did he have the worst business of the bunch by far. Another one of these failed businesses came from actress Debbie Reynolds, who starred in Singing in the Rain, How the West Was Won, The Unsinkable Molly Brown, Charlotte's Web, and many more. She's also known for being Carrie Fisher's mother. Back in the mid-90s, 1993 to be exact, Debbie decided to buy the Paddle Wheel Hotel and Casino and entered into a partnership with Jackpot Enterprises for the casino portion of the hotel. Debbie collected millions of dollars worth of Hollywood memorabilia, hoping to make this a museum/casino, and she even bought the legendary ruby slippers from The Wizard of Oz. Wonder whatever happened to those ruby slippers. Now, Debbie entered into this partnership because she didn't have a gaming license, but what she didn't seem to realize is that because of this partnership, she couldn't make a dime of the casino's profits. But things became truly doomed 3 years later in 1996. According to one source, things at first looked right for the hotel, but then a massive problem. Debbie Reynolds' casino lost its casino. In March of 1996, when the company that was running it pulled out, saying the venture just wasn't profitable, Reynolds tried to sell the hotel to a Phoenix-based company, but that fell through 2 months ago. Recent weeks saw 44 hotel employees laid off, and Reynolds resign as the hotel's chairwoman and director. Her son, Todd Fisher, who remains president of the troubled company, says his family is handling this latest hit with a little Hollywood moxie. The show must go on. Other sources don't say there was a bright future, but that the hotel's finances had been mismanaged from the start. Several managers had salaries out of $100,000. There were losses like $75,000 a month on the employee dining room. They lost $10,000 to $12,000 a month on the lease, and the cash flow was somewhere near negative $450,000 per month in total. Debbie Reynolds was struggling under heavy debt, and out of options, she declared bankruptcy and began selling timeshares. Early in 1998, the resort reached a $14 million acquisition agreement with Florida timeshare developer David Siegel, according to the Las Vegas Sun. But Toledo, Ohio-based CalStar LLC made a competing offer in bankruptcy court in April, forcing Siegel to up his offer to $15.6 million. Siegel, who had just planned to add 1,000 new timeshare rooms to the resort, dropped his bid in May after deciding that $15.6 million was $1.6 million more than Debbie Reynolds was worth. Siegel's departure let CalStar step in as buyer with its $15.5 million backup offer. In June, CalStar backed out of its offer, citing environmental concerns with the property. Fisher then decided on an auction. Now, we've been forced into a legitimate auction environment, Fisher said. The Debbie Reynolds problem was never location. It's situated between the Strip and the Las Vegas Convention Center, or Conception, says Fisher and broker Atwell. The problem was management at the beginning, which led to significant financial difficulties down the road. Over time, the building went through many phases. It became the Greek Isles Hotel and Casino, then the Clarion Hotel and Casino. In 2015, it was demolished. There's plans to turn the site into a majestic sky suite, a world-class non-gaming luxury resort. Again, while I don't really think that Debbie had any malicious intent, sometimes you're better off just sticking to what you know. Celebrity alone isn't enough to keep a business alive. And in some cases, it may not even be enough to get a business started. Though Kanye West may have collaborated on the Yeezy sneakers, at one point he had a clothing line called Pastel. Ooh, real neat. Kanye continued to hype it up, saying that it was coming soon for about 5 years. It was first teased in 2004 in his music video entitled The New Workout Plan, where Kanye wore a polo featuring his mascot or persona, the college dropout bear. Kanye wore original creations out in public, at fashion shows, rapped about the brand and did everything possible to promote it. Some sources say that Kanye West's friends and contemporaries, like Lupe Fiasco and B.O.B., also wore samples of Pastel, and Kanye was extremely involved with the process. One designer for the brand stated, quote, "Kanye wanted to know every little detail, and he came in super early and left super late. Like, this was his priority," end quote. So, what happened? How did Pastel go from being up and coming, well promoted, and sure to sell, only for it to vanish? Well, one source claims that after his public outburst in 2009 at Taylor Swift, anyone remember that "I'ma let you finish" controversy? Kanye retreated from the spotlight, and Pastel's office and plans faded right along with him. My source writes, plenty of samples remained, but the brand had never fully gone to production, and some collaborators were left unpaid, with many revealing that they didn't even know that the brand was deteriorating until they read about it online. Some theorize that the death of West's mother took his mind off of the brand. Completely fair. Others post that his musical output took precedence. West was very enthusiastic and he was very hands-on, said Simon Beckerman from Retro Superfuture. He was very energetic about Pastel and he loves working in fashion, but his main business is music. It's a shame that the brand didn't work out, especially for the sake of those involved with the project. Daniel Beckerman, who co-founded the Italian sunglasses brand Retro Superfuture with his brother Simon, had been eager to produce sunglasses for Kanye and claimed that having a rapper, a celebrity like Kanye believing in him was extremely encouraging and would have been huge for his brand. It had been a fantastic opportunity for him for years. Daniel and the rest of Kanye's team got everything ready for the launch. Designer Taz Arnold said it had been like X-Men coming together, and that Kanye had some colorful individuals and creative people working to his benefit. There were so many people working on this project hoping for its success. Kanye and his team had studios in New York, Paris, and LA. One Complex article writes, according to the designers interviewed for this piece, West's vision for Pastel was innovative. He constantly tried to push the boundaries of what apparel, accessories, or footwear could be. Yeah, he had some really super dope ideas, said Ben Baller, coolest last name ever by the way. He wanted to make a Jesus piece in porcelain and in jade. He wanted to make some really cool stuff. If a jeweler now were to make Jesus pieces in jade, it would change the game. And remember, this was almost 10 years ago. He also wanted to make some pieces for women's purses. He wanted some crazy materials. When I think about it now, I'm like, damn, that's crazy. Yeah, that is really crazy and doesn't quite seem practical, but maybe that's just me. I'm not really in the market for a handbag. I was pretty hyped for the Pastel line, he continues. When I saw it, I was like, wow, this is freaking amazing. It was a cross between that real golden era of polo, a simpler, a bathing ape, and a little bit of APC. If you put all three together, that's what it was like. Can you tell I'm not really into fashion? Whether or not you actually like the sound of this collection and whether or not you like Kanye West, it does seem like a shame that this never even saw the light of day, purely from a designer's perspective. There was a large body of work from prototypes. A full collection was done, and many had poured their heart and soul into it. Kanye didn't really give much of an explanation to those people either. Some of his collaborators simply never heard from him again. It was like he ghosted on the brand altogether. Daniel and another collaborator named DeSalvo were both unpaid as well, with DeSalvo stating that, "We worked on the project a lot, but for no money and no glory." There was not only no pay, but no exposure when this project was never even released. Another designer who worked on apparel with West says, "I was a little disappointed that this guy wasn't going to be able to achieve his dream, but at the same time, I was also trying to get paid for my services." It was a little bit of nervousness and disappointment at how everything had gone. Brands fail all the time. Companies close, and ideas don't always come to fruition. If Kanye wanted to disappear from the spotlight, that's his prerogative. Some say that his mother also passed away around this time, so he may have had personal reasons and wanted to take some time to mourn, and that is more than okay. But to not pay these collaborators? There's really not any excuse for that, especially not when so many have given this project so much. Whether he was disorganized or had a, quote, manic approach, end quote, it's his brand. Some designers say there was no scalability or proficiency. If Kanye shut down Pastel early because he realized that it wasn't going to work in the long run, again, that's okay. But not paying people? Not so much. On the note of apparel, though, let's move on to our next celebrity of the day, which is actress Natalie Portman and her failed vegan footwear line called Thinkology. There were a few reasons this failed, one of which is that veganism wasn't nearly as common in 2008 when Thinkology opened, so the market for vegan footwear was still pretty small. That, combined with them being really cost prohibitive for a lot of people, almost $300 for a pair of pumps, just left the company without any real potential for growth or many sales to begin with. One article from Jezebel questioned why and how they could even charge this much when the shoes didn't have leather. You'd think that the faux material should be cheaper, but I guess not. Reviews of the store had been generally positive at the time. One read that the shoes were beautiful, the store was amazingly staged, the designs had fun modern twists, and the customer service was excellent. What's really going on here? Some even called it the Willy Wonka factory of shoes. But again, no matter how fantastic these shoes were, the cost for this fake leather footwear was something that not many could get past, even if Natalie Portman's name was attached to it. You've probably heard of corporate towns before, but have you ever heard of a celebrity buying up an entire town to try and turn it into their own tourist attraction? That's exactly what actress Kim Basinger did in 1989 when she bought over 1,700 acres of the 2,000-acre town of Bristolton, Georgia for about $20 million. Kim had been born and raised on a Georgia farm, so it's no surprise that she'd choose a town there when she wanted to transform Bristolton into a tourist attraction with a major recording and movie production studio. After 3 years, though, Bristolton was called the town that Kim forgot, and the postmaster claimed it was deader than it had been 3 years ago. Whether Kim did genuinely forget, or her project was simply slow to start, or if she'd bitten off more than she could chew, townspeople were beginning to wonder if any redevelopment project would happen at all. The uncertainty over the deal was keeping developers out, and the "I don't know" answer was, as one man puts it, the worst answer you can possibly give to a businessman. Being unable to find a partner, Kim's reputation suffered, and it became all too clear that no matter how wonderful her vision had been, Kim simply didn't have the ability to actually make it come to fruition. Kim had to file for bankruptcy shortly after buying the town as her money troubles worsened. During this time period, Kim had been at the height of her career. She apparently made a verbal commitment to Carl Mazzaconi, a director, that she would star in his next movie. He thought he was investing in the next Kim Basinger box office hit. She backed out after money had already been spent by the studio. Mainline Pictures sued her for $8 million, forcing her to declare bankruptcy. Though she didn't have to pay them the full amount, the damage had been done, and Kim sold her interest in Bristolton. It ended up reselling for less than $5 million, a mere fraction of what she paid. Although some of these businesses, especially the Kardashian card, were irresponsible at best, others like Dive and Take-a-San didn't seem like bad ideas. The execution just may not have been there, nor the interest. When prepared, and when the business is something a celebrity is genuinely connected to, I do think that there can be some potential there. We've seen it with beauty products, clothing, and multiple times within the entertainment industry. Like any other person, I think the same rule applies. Don't invent more than you can afford to lose. With that being said, though, that's where I'm going to end today's Fun Fact Friday. If you like this episode, please hit that like button, subscribe, and if you want to see more content from me, well, you can check out my links in the description down below. As you know, I'd love to have you around my channel and Twitter. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye, guys!